When I agreed to help Clara, I thought it would be simple. 20 days. That's what she asked. Pretend to be my girlfriend for just 20 days. She had said, her voice tight with the kind of desperation that made me hesitate before answering. Clara wasn't just anyone. She was wealthy, polished, and the kind of woman who made heads turn the moment she walked into a room, and me. I was the opposite, working 2 jobs, hair always a little messy, and with a laugh too loud for high society. The only thing we had in common was history. We went to the same high school, though she never really noticed me back then. But now, she needed me. Her family was breathing down her neck, demanding she prove she was serious about her personal life. So she found me, or maybe fate pushed her toward me that night at the cafe. When she overheard me joking with my coworker about being the best fake girlfriend anyone could hire, she raised one perfectly arched brow, slid into my booth, and made her offer. I should have said no, but I didn't. The first few days were easy. She gave me a list, her favorite wine, the restaurants she frequented, the way she liked to hold hands in public. We staged little scenes for her parents and friends. I played the part of the devoted girlfriend, and she played the part of someone who wasn't breaking inside. Because even in those first days, I could see it. The way her smile didn't always reach her eyes, the way she stiffened when her mother jokingly asked if this relationship would finally make her normal. I wasn't supposed to care, but I did. By the 5th day, I stopped looking at it as a deal. We were in her penthouse, supposed to be practicing a backstory for an upcoming charity gala. Instead, she was curled up on the sofa, telling me about the time she was 16 and confessed to her best friend, only to be met with disgust and silence. Her voice cracked, and I wanted to hug her, but I didn't. I just sat there, close enough for her to feel me, far enough for her to breathe. She looked at me then, eyes glassy, and whispered, "You're not what I expected." Neither was she. By the 10th day, the lines blurred completely. She reached for my hand when no one was looking. She kissed me when she didn't have to. And the worst part, I kissed her back, like I meant it. Because I did. I tried to remind myself this was temporary. A deal. 20 days. And then we'd go back to strangers. But the way she looked at me when I made her laugh, the way she softened when I teased her about her ridiculous shoe collection, those War and Tea things you could fake, she was falling. And so was I. The 19th day came faster than I wanted. We were supposed to break up the next day to tell her family it just hadn't worked out. I spent that night awake, staring at the ceiling of her guest room, wondering if walking away would hurt more than staying. Then, at dawn, Clara knocked on my door. Her hair was a mess, her eyes tired, but her voice was steady when she said, "I can't do this anymore." My heart sank, thinking she meant us, thinking the deal had ended before it was supposed to. But then she added, "I don't want 20 days. I want more." I wanted more before the first week was even over. I didn't let her finish. I pulled her into my arms and kissed her like I had been waiting years to do it. And maybe I had, because what started as a 20-day deal turned into the love story neither of us planned, but both of us desperately needed. Months later, I was sprawled on Clara's velvet sofa, flipping through one of her many fashion magazines. The penthouse was empty. Her family was in Europe for the summer, and I was helping her pack for our trip to Greece. "Why are you still here?" she asked, appearing from behind a pile of designer suitcases. "Shouldn't you be getting ready?" I laughed. "I am getting ready. How does one pack for a month in Santorini." She smiled, coming to sit beside me, and I couldn't help but notice how relaxed she seemed. This was the first vacation she'd taken without her parents since we started dating. It was also the first time I'd ever been to Greece or anywhere else outside North Carolina, and I was terrified. "Hey, you okay?" she asked, frowning slightly. "You seem tense." I shrugged. "I'm just worried I won't fit in. You know, I'm not exactly used to being away from home for so long." "You'll be fine. Besides," she said, reaching for my hand, "you won't be alone." I squeezed her hand, but I didn't look at her. I was too afraid to see the pity I knew would be in her eyes, because even though things had worked out for us, there was still a part of me that felt like I'd tricked her. I mean, I'd literally pretended to be someone else for almost 3 weeks. And then, bam! I dropped the act and revealed my true colors. I expected her to run, but instead, she'd laughed, told me how relieved she was to finally be able to be herself around me, and then she kissed me like I was the most wonderful surprise. Of course, I loved her for that, but it still ate at me. "You're not perfect, you know," she said, her fingers tracing circles on my knuckles. I looked up at her then, surprised. "What do you mean you're not always the loudest person in the room? You don't have your shit together all the time, and sometimes you take way too long to get ready." I snorted. "But you're far from perfect yourself. Bossy, controlling, and you have a tendency to bite people when they annoy you." She stuck her tongue out at me, then leaned in, her lips grazing my ear. "So why do you think I love you?" I shrugged, hoping she wouldn't notice I was blushing. "Maybe because you need someone to keep you in check." She mused, pulling back to look at me. "Maybe you're right, but that doesn't explain how you managed to fall in love with a slob like me. Because you don't see me as a slob. You see me as Noah." "Well, yeah, obviously." She laughed, shaking her head, but she didn't let go of my hand. And suddenly, I knew I didn't need her to complete me. I had myself, and I had her. And that was all that mattered.